Alright, this is a kind of supplementary video, I guess, for the making of these custom slippers. It's about how you match up the stitches on the top part to the lower part, because it's a regular stitching along the top, but you have to space out your stitches further apart to match up with the top as you bring the excess material in together to meet it. It requires a little bit of maths, but don't worry about it. We're going to work it out. So this is the pattern I used to make my slippers, obviously incredibly DIY. So you can see the section where the stitches are equal and they match up end for end, and I've drawn thick lines at the top and the bottom to mark out that section. So that means that I only needed or only wanted to match up the stitches in this section to here by spreading these ones out. Probably could have gotten away with doing fewer stitches for the section and starting a little bit further along, but this is how I decided to do mine. So first of all, I measured out, I punched through or marked out the stitches at the normal distance between, for this section, the small section. So the small section has 33 stitches. Okay, so then I wanted to measure, and that's between here, starting with number 1 as that stitch there, not this, that, all the way around to where I wanted to finish stitching here. That's the 33rd stitch. And so the distance that I now need to fit 33 stitches into is from here all the way around to this line where I'm stopping those spread out stitches. When I measured mine around, just using a tape measure, quite crude, it gave me a measurement of 210 millimeters. So to fit 33 stitches into 210 millimeters, it gave me a distance of about 6.3 millimeters between stitches, which I think is actually round about double the distance between those, if I'm correct. I generally stuck with about 6 millimeters per stitch because the 0.3 generally was just about, the distance of the pen made up for that. To give myself a bit of extra guidance, the halfway point around here, halfway between 0 and 210 is 105 millimeters. So 105 millimeters in, I marked what my halfway mark should be, and at halfway I should be about 16 stitches in. That was just so that I didn't get to the end and realise I had like 4 stitches left to do. If you want, you can also measure an additional quarter spacing so you know that you're on track even in smaller intervals. I used, rather than using a flexible tape measure for this section, I actually used a ruler just because I wanted a rigid thing to measure from. So I measured from the line to the first stitch 6 millimeters, 6 millimeters, 6 millimeters, and just drew a dot every place there should be a stitch. And I kept my kept track just by noting them down. So you've got 1 to 5, 1, 5, 10, which helped me get to 16 when I expected to. These dots obviously are not as far in as I would want to be making the stitch holes. So from the edge I just measured in as far as I needed to onto the actual leather itself. So I made a dot on the edge of the pattern as I copied it out, and then in from the edge of the pattern the distance I wanted to make it. So I used like a guide to work out where the distance was and just mapped it onto that. What that actually does is it removes a small amount of distance between your stitches because they come together, but you're keeping them regular anyway because you've got your markers along like this. Okay, I hope that explains it. If you have any other questions, just let me know and I'll try my best to explain it a bit more.